Hello everyone and welcome to another video, and in this one we will showcase why this penalty system is not how it's supposed to be. I mean, in general, I set my lap time to about 27.6 before I started my first race, and it was actually looking quite okay because I just gave myself a couple of minutes to do so. Maybe it was about 5 to 6 laps. So here we are starting the first race. I actually had a couple of good races, but in the end I picked about 2, which were, I think, the most interesting, and I think you will find the point. But here, starting in this first corner of the first race, and immediately I get kind of squeezed out to the outside of the track. I watched the replay later, and he really didn't give me that much space. I even went off the track, and still it was a little push. So I don't know if he just missed his braking point or it was something else, but I don't think that was quite clean. So either way, I continued on. I lost one more place. Mehdi kind of squeezed himself out of that P9 into P7, and once again just going too deep into the second corner and just once again losing a place. But as you probably noticed, there were no penalties involved in all of this, so no one actually got a penalty from pretty much nothing, even from squeezing someone out of the track or basically anything. I mean, no one got a penalty. And here where it starts to get interesting. I mean, this is usually the place where if you have the inside, the opponent or the guy from the back isn't really gonna get the chance to kind of get the move on you. I mean, it's not very possible, but somehow the Belgian guy actually squeezed himself into that position and once again got himself into P9. So yeah, not really giving me much space on the outside, but okay, I said, you know what, it's the start of the race, anything can happen. And by the way, this race you have to use racing mediums and racing soft tires. So whatever you do, you need to change tires and you need to pit once. So this is the strategy, and it's usually worth pitting about after 4 laps on the mediums. And here, a lap later, I kind of got myself into this little tight battle. I mean, I broke where I usually brake at about 100-meter sign, and just a little tap to the Spanish guy, which again he kind of pushed the other guy outside of the track. And I thought to myself at one point, I should give the place back. It wasn't really as clean. But then I remembered what happened in the first corner, and I said to myself, you know what, I'm gonna keep the place. I'm gonna fight this one through, you know. And actually, just when I thought about it, it was kind of okay. I mean, you can guys be the judge, but in the end I think it wasn't a huge hit and I had to get my place. I mean, it could have been something else. I mean, he could have probably stayed a little bit behind me in the first corner and none of this would happen. So yeah, getting into the pits lap 4, as I explained, you need about 4 laps on the mediums and then the rest on the softs. It always depends on which car you take, but with the GTR this is the strategy. And just as I was getting out of the pits, I was overtaken by the Frenchman. I mean, yeah, nothing much that I could have done there. I mean, it's the slipstream plus the more speed out of the first corner, and there is really nothing much that I can do, except that I maybe just tried to brake a little bit later than usual and squeeze myself into this place and left him just about enough space so he can defend. And yeah, if you give the guy space on the outside, there is a good possibility that he will get better run out of that corner. So once again, I tried to kind of go into the second section of the track right here. It's difficult to get this one done because he can do a better exit and eventually we will all be battling for this whole section. But somehow I made it through. Inside is always a little bit better than the outside of that turn. But okay, this race seemed to be kind of recovering from, you know, the bad start and all of that happened at the start of the race. And now Segmeister getting out of the pits in the RCZ, which usually does not have the best top speed. Okay, acceleration with this car is incredible, so is the tire wear, but incredibly bad. So that's why he stayed out for much longer than we all did, and now he will just try to get the best possible, you know, the best possible result on these soft tires. And then at this point I thought, okay, he has better tires. I mean, he will try to go for the move, but then I just tried to cover down the inside of this turn, went in slightly too deep, and he's got a very nice exit out of this corner. But once again, he's on the outside. It doesn't matter if he's got fresh tires, but I'm on the inside. And just as I said, if you have the inside, park it on the apex, don't accelerate too soon, and you will eventually get this one done. So here we have this little group of about 4 drivers in front, and they are in this little so-called train, and I'm in P8. You know what, it's kind of, I'm not gonna call it a recovery, but it is better than what it seemed to be at the start of the race. Still, the strategy seems to be okay. I did one lap longer on the mediums just to get the better result on the soft tires, and it proved to be a pretty decent strategy because now I had much more speed and much more cornering speed through this middle section and in general the whole last section, so I can eventually go for a move onto the first corner or into the first corner and just get this one done. So he was in a place where it's just about saving his place, trying to defend it, but if the guy in front or behind has better tires, it's really gonna be difficult to defend a couple of these spots. So the Russian guy goes slightly too deep while fighting with Ace, and once again this gave me kind of a half a second on him, but he also got a little penalty, so half a second penalty for just cutting the track that much. Honestly, I don't think it's fair, but he didn't even get anything, he actually lost time. So just imagine losing time and eventually getting a penalty. But you know, we are repeating this corner lap by lap and just trying to kind of stay on the track, defend this position, and you know, take what I can take out of this one. So the guy in front with a half a second penalty, which is not a half a second penalty because you lose a lot more, definitely. You lose a lot more than just half a second, and you will see why now. So half a second gone just by that, and I tried to go on the outside, still giving him that space that he needs, and somehow I made it. I kind of overshot the corner, but in the end it was good enough to take this P6, and you know, we're just having a little look, and maybe it is possible to get myself into P5 or the top 5. But now Ace had once again a half a second penalty, but I tried to give myself a little look down the inside to really go through. I mean, I could have probably done it, but once again he goes wide, and you will see what happens later. I mean, yeah, I don't even know how to explain it, but once again a half a second penalty for not getting even a half a second. So I think we should have some kind of a strike point system or something that is not going to give you penalties every single time that you cross the track limits, because this is absolutely annoying. I mean, for me it was okay, but I don't think it's fair for the other guys or someone who does not get the advantage. So you're getting off the track, you're losing time, and eventually you're on top of that, you're given half a second to about a second worth of penalties. So it can get even worse, trust me, but I think this system, or you know, the system as it is right now, it's not great. I mean, it should be a little bit different. But now, yeah, once again I got myself into P5, and the Hungarian did a little mistake right there, and this is usually what this is what it takes to make a move here. So just wait until the other guys make a mistake, and it's super easy if you jump over the yellow curbs and you put the power down on used tires, and you will definitely not get a good time. But now once again the Hungarian, or just under the Hungarian flag, he is chasing me. I mean, I thought, okay, this is game over, but the RCZ does not really have the straight line speed, and this is the only thing that saved me in this battle. So if he had a little bit more straight line speed, I don't think this would even been a fight. So through the middle section he was much quicker. On the straight I was able to carry the speed, I was able to defend, and on top of that, I mean, RCZ really didn't have that great tire management, or it's just the tires are absolutely incredibly bad in that car. I mean, with most of the Yamaha cars it's like that. The GTR had much better tire wear, and I was able to defend this one, even though I pitted about 2 laps before he did 2 laps, and the tire, I think the tire wear was at ×10, so it's quite significant. But either way, just once again park it down on the apex, and there is really nothing much that he can do. I mean, you know, he cannot get the exit done properly, and in the end just staying in this P4, finishing the race. And actually, when I thought about how it started, it could have been a lot worse. I mean, in this one actually penalties saved me, but you will see in the next race that I will do, they didn't, kinda, yeah. Let's say they did, but they didn't. I kind of improved my qualifying time in between the races, and I put it down to 0.3, so a 27.3, and now I'm starting in P3, so a 0.3 getting me top 3. But okay, the race started off really well, no incidents in the first turn. I mean, everything went really clean, and now I'm just following Key and just trying to mind my own business, don't do much, and you know, really stay close to him as much as possible. And Antonio is, I guess he's trying different cars, so every race that he does, it's in a different car, and honestly, I don't know how is he maintaining this pace with the Mustang, because now he chose the Mustang, which is, in my opinion, one of the worst cars in Group 3. And somehow he's keeping it on the track, he's getting decent lap times. I'm not even gonna call them decent, they're absolutely insane times for that car. But yeah, I guess that's what talent looks like. But here, I'm in P3 just following Key. I didn't really want to go for him or just even try to do anything, because once again, I know the other guys behind are really quick, and if we start fighting early on, they will eventually catch up, and you know, we will start fighting for the top 3, which is not good. So just staying behind. Antonio got a little penalty for going too wide into turn 1, and at this point I thought, okay, it will be close, I might get a place, but it will be close. Unfortunately, it was not close enough, so Key managed to get through. Unfortunately, I didn't, and Antonio kept his place. I mean, he kind of lost one place, but eventually he just lost one with a half a second penalty, so that's a huge success, I say, but it wasn't really. But once again, he went really wide into turn 1. It was actually out of last turn, into turn 1, and once again, we got a half a second penalty, and yeah, once again, I don't know, unbelievable track limits here at Red Bull Ring. I personally didn't know how to explain this one yet, because if you want to have good clean racing, I don't think these things should happen so often. And as I said before, at least give us some kind of a strike penalty system where you get 3 strikes and eventually you will get, I don't know, a 2nd or 2-second penalty. But this thing getting half a second by half a second by half a second is just, in my eyes, it's really not a great thing, and I think it should be fixed, at least in the next couple of months. I know we are always complaining about the penalty system, but yeah, I don't think this is really good for racing. So here, I mean, once again, P3, nothing really changed for myself. Antonio retaking his lead, but once again, he's got a half a second penalty, and there is really nothing much that he can do. I mean, except for just getting back into P2, which is, you know, actually okay. But now he actually loses on that P2, and I'm promoted in P2. So kind of getting one, losing one. But once again, on the entry, yeah, I lose the car, I go off the track, and at this point I thought it will be a penalty. But it won't be a half a second. It will be a 3-second penalty, and on top of that, I got a half a second for cutting the track limits. So instead of the game giving me a little break for losing about a second and a half, no, it's, you know what, I will give you another 3.5 seconds, because why not? You know, it's pretty okay. And in the end, I actually watched Key's replay, and he went in slightly too deep. He didn't lose that much time, but he got a 3-second penalty. And with a 3-second penalty, you don't really lose 3 seconds, you actually lose about 5.5. So instead of keeping my place, I kinda lost 2. And on top of that, I was ghosted, so there was really no way that I could have defended that place either way. So, P13, Robin going a little too wide, and I just knew, once again, we got a penalty. Okay, yeah, I mean, at this point, I think there were too many penalties, but what can I even say? It's just a penalty fest, I guess. I tried to squeeze myself in here, it kinda worked. He really didn't go that defensive, although he should have, but I think he just knew that he was gonna eventually lose the place. I tried to brake a little bit later than usual, following a still giving him the space that he needs, but I think he knew at this point, though, it's really not worth defending. I mean, I'm just gonna lose the place. And he was quite fair, to be honest, here. You know, just didn't even try to go for a move into this turn. It was looking okay. I mean, at least for me, it was looking okay after losing about 5.5 to 6 seconds. A portion of that was on my own, but it was, honestly, it should be changed. But Ace, once again, losing it. And yeah, I know this yellow curb can be quite difficult to get, and I think the key to do it is actually start accelerating a little bit before the curb, not too much, and then when the car straightens up, you start accelerating more. Once again, it's very, very difficult to handle the car over the curb, and you know, we kind of got ourselves into P6 after that. I don't know why Mehdi slowed down that much, because he was in the Lexus. Lexus was a really decent car around this track, and I really didn't see the reason. Maybe he just pressed the option button or just slowed down. Not exactly sure what happened. But now I can see a little group up ahead. They are fighting for that win because the guy in front needs to go into the pits. But then Mehdi got really, really close, and I thought if he has better tires, if he got more pace, then it's really not worth fighting because we will just lose time. And that's exactly what happened. I just didn't defend that place. He got into P5, I got myself into P6, and I thought, okay, you know, even if I stay in P6, it's not gonna be such a bad thing because I got about 6 seconds that I lost in this race, and it's kind of okay. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was much better than I expected. But once again, we had a little incident up ahead with Key and Josetti, and I just got myself 2 places like I did in the previous race. So I don't know how to explain it, because I wasn't really lucky just to get 3 seconds, you know, 3.5 seconds worth of penalties. But then again, I always get these free places. I mean, I'm not really doing much, I'm just staying on the track, and eventually it happens. So lap 9 out of 13, our leader jumps into the pits, and he was he was on the softs, getting some pretty decent lap times overall. But you know, it is what it is. You know, I'm getting myself into the podium spots, and it's kind of looking okay. I mean, not gonna lie, it actually felt like, okay, I can do this. You know, 3 seconds to the lead. But yeah, now when I looked at it, I had Valerio Gallo, the world champion, behind me in the NSX, and he was getting close. He was definitely getting closer than what I wanted, and I mean 1.4 seconds. And then in the last lap, I realized, I was watching this replay, and then I realized how bad this NSX is on the tires. It's incredible. Look at the rear left tire. It's incredible how bad that tire actually is. Somehow Antonio got 1 more penalty, about half a second, and I got a little closer. So Mehdi was fortunate enough, after all of that, to get the win. Antonio to finish in P2, and myself finishing in P3 after all of that. And Valerio, once again, with those absolutely dead tires, finished in P4. So I don't know, guys. I think this should be fixed. I mean, this penalty system is an absolute joke, and yeah, let me know what you think about it in the comments. But before we end this one, I have to thank everyone for subscribing to the channel and being, you know, just, you know, leading me to one of the record streams that I had in the last couple of months. So thank you very much for that, and thank you very much for watching this video, and thank you once again for the support, and I will just leave it here. So guys, until the next time, bye.